Oh, hey there! Can we please talk about UFC Vegas 34? Happened last weekend. Let's go through all the terrible bets I made, and they were terrible. I mean, wow. Betting wise, UFC Vegas 34 was bad even for me. Even for me, someone who prides themselves on terrible bets. It was pretty poor. So anyway, if you're new to this show, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, what I'm going to do is spend about 15 minutes or so just running through the results, breaking down a couple of the fights from last week, and then I'll be looking at some worthy events from the news and finishing off with Troll of the Week, because I love having a look at random MMA memes that just make me laugh, because memes are just such a great form of comedy. Might be my favourite form of comedy right now. But either way, let's get into those fights that happened at the weekend. I did do a public service announcement telling people to go back and watch the first fight that I'm going to get into, which was Vince Pichel versus Austin Hubbard at 155. Now, that was wow, what an incredible fight. Barn burner alert. Boom. It was really good. If you haven't watched that fight yet, before I spoil the result, pause this, go back and watch it. Because I mean, if you've got UFC Fight Pass, like it's there, ready to watch. But yeah, it's really very good. Really strong performance from Pichel. Strong being the operative word, actually, because it became apparent that he's been doing strength and conditioning for the first time in his career. And he's 38, for fuck's sake. That is too late to be getting into strength and conditioning. I'm just kidding, Vince. Clearly not. Because it seemed to work because he looked strong. He looked strong. He was able to avoid the wrestling for the most part, and he got a really nice reversal when it did go down to the ground. It was a crazy third round. The third round just, woo! They really just tore into each other, and I haven't actually looked at which fights, what the post-fight bonuses and everything like that were. But I'd be shocked if this one wasn't fight of the night. I hope it was. But what's next for Pichel? Oh no, let's have a quick look at the rankings. In terms of rankings, I mean, Pichel's still sitting down there in the mid-20s of Vince Pichel. Looking at his picture on the rankings, he looks so much like Sean Strickland. It's not even funny. I'm glad he grew out that moustache, because then we can tell them apart. But yeah, looking at the rankings, I mean, interesting fights. You've got Alexander Hernandez, but he's booked up against Leonard Santos. Drew Dober, he needs a matchup. He's coming off 2 losses. One that is intriguing there, sitting at rank 20, Rafael Fiziev, but I feel like Fiziev is probably going to be going further up the rankings rather than looking back. So you're looking at maybe Scott Holtzman, Renato Cannonier. Renato Cannonier is probably a good fit. He just beat Jai Herbert, so yeah, match those two up. And so anyway, like I said, go back and watch that fight. It was entertaining. Bet rating, terrible, because I went for Pichel by KO. So I got the right fighter, and he nearly KO'd him a couple of times. So you know what? I'm going to rate that bet as medium terrible, because it was, I at least got the right guy. And Parker Porter versus Chase Sherman, 265 pounds. So this one got sloppy very, very quickly. Very quickly. Good Lord. Sherman, he looked really good until he threw that really lazy kick, like in the first round. Up until that point, he was actually looking pretty tidy. He was kind of getting the better of all the stand-up. And yeah, I don't know. It's just that kick. He ended up on his back, and then Porter just put his weight on him. And after that, Sherman wasn't the same. He was gasping between rounds 1 and 2. For God's sake, man, sort out your cardio. What is the matter with you? Both of them looked gassed. In the second round, you have to be able to at least get to the third round before you start looking like you're going to collapse under your own weight. That's terrible. Awful. Both men. I mean, let's be fair. They were putting on a pace. They were trying to put on a pace anyway. And yeah, I just didn't think it was a good look. Both of them looked tired. Both of them were exhausted, but it turns out Porter fights better than Sherman exhausted. Not by too much, but by enough to edge the fight. So obviously I had credit to Porter. He had a great chin, his poker face for his leg, because his leg was toast as well. But both men, I don't think either of their stock exactly rose. Do you know what I mean? I really don't think either of them looked great. So Sherman needs to work on his cardio, probably in a different organisation, if I'm totally honest. And yeah, who should Porter fight next? Let's have a quick gander at the rankings. I mean, like, heavyweight is not strong, is it? But yeah, Porter. I don't know. Vandera, probably he's matched up against Alexander Romanov though. Nascimento, he needs a fight, to be fair. Greg Hardy coming off a loss to Tai Tuivasa. Greg Hardy seems to have been thrown to a lot of high caliber guys lately, so maybe Parker Porter matchup would be just what the doctor ordered for both guys, really, because obviously Porter gets a win there, he moves on, and Greg Hardy, if he wins there, he's back in the win column. So then we had Clay Guido against Mark Madsen, 155 pounds. Oh, sorry. Bet rating on Sherman versus Porter, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Do not bet on Sherman ever again. Good God. Look, he's not a bad fighter, but he's not reliable enough to put money on. Sorry, Vanilla Gorilla. But yeah. Bet rating. So, Clay Guida, Mark Madsen, £155. This one didn't go as I expected, if I'm totally honest. It played out largely standing, albeit standing and in the clinch. Madsen's clinch is very strong, but Clay is hard to hold on to, but he still spent too much time getting hit in the clinch. Split decision, it was really close, but it was fair. Madsen was going forward slightly more, and I think he was just a touch more active, just enough. It wasn't a marquee performance by any means. So, you know, Guida ain't getting cut off the back of that. He's got fights left. He's a name big enough that the UFC will keep him around. Madsen called out Gregor Gillespie. That's a decent call out, but I don't think he gets Gregor Gillespie because, let's be fair, I mean, Gillespie's probably higher stock than Madsen. I don't think Madsen did enough with that performance to start calling out guys that are on the cusp of the top 10. I mean, Gillespie's sitting there at number 11. And yeah, so, I mean, maybe Brad Riddle. Brad Riddle's like 14. I don't know where Madsen even sits in the rankings, if I'm totally honest. Mark Madsen sits at 29 in the rankings. So yeah, he's got, maybe match him up with Vince Pichel. Yeah, there you go. Vince Pichel versus Mark Madsen. Match those two up. And then we'll see who moves closer to the top 15. Perfect. Boom. Make it happen. So then we had the main event, which was Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. And I can't believe that Kelvin Gastelum is only 29. Fuck me. He's got a lot of, he's still got time left. And he needs it because, bless him, he keeps losing. I do apologise, I keep forgetting to do my bet rating. Bet rating on Madsen versus Guida, terrible, but medium terrible, because I bet on the submission, which was, you know, reaching clearly, but yeah, I got the right fighter at least. There you go, as I said, Cannonier versus Gastelum. Look, Cannonier was blocking with his traps at one point. That dude is a unit. His head movement was actually very good. He was deflecting the punches enough. Kelvin was active, but the power advantage was very clear to Cannonier. His kicks were really heavy. Kelvin had the speed, which was really apparent in round 2. But Cannonier, he just kept on landing that one big shot, which kept on changing each round. And you know, the uppercut that caught him, there was a right hook in the 3rd round that I don't know how Kelvin Gastelum got up from. And Cannonier, he just looked composed, he looked calm throughout. And yeah, I'm not sure about the corner advice. I had Gastelum down on the cards, and his corner was adamant that Cannonier was going to come out like a banshee because he was down on scorecards, and I don't think that's true at all. I didn't think it at the time, and it turns out that it wasn't, you know. I don't know about, I wonder, I haven't looked at the injury reports yet, but I thought Cannonier possibly threw his shoulder out in the 4th round because he threw real hard but missed heavy, and he winced really hard as he was pulling that shoulder. He was shaking out quite a lot, so I'd be interested to see the medical suspensions, things like that. Gastelum went 0-5 on takedowns in rounds 1 to 4, and going into the 5th, you have to credit Cannonier with those as well. So the decision was completely correct. # terrible. I don't think a lot of people, to be fair, my bet was terrible, but I don't think too many people saw that one going 5 rounds and Cannonier being on the winning end of it if it went to a decision, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say that's medium terrible because I got the right fighter, but wrong method. Next for Cannonier, surely it's the winner of Costa and Vettori. And then Gastelum should maybe get the loser of that one. He needs to get a win. I mean, I love Kelvin Gastelum, and the strength of his schedule is the only reason he hasn't been cut already, because let's be fair, look at the people that he's been losing to. They're killers. He doesn't fight anyone except killers. But the problem is, he does need to find a win sooner or later. But yeah. So anyway, we'll move on to the news. But before I do that, I just want to ask you a real quick favour. All I'm asking is that you share this. If you like this content, please just share it. Like and share, give me a subscribe on YouTube. It really helps me out a lot. If you want to show some support on Patreon, feel free to do so. There are early access to episodes, and we have a lot of fun over there. But you're by no means obligated. And I'll just ask that, you know, even just word of mouth. If you listen to this podcast, just literally, if you have a friend that's into MMA and you think they'll get a kick out of the show, please, just let them know. Just, you know, they listen to it, what have they lost? If they enjoy it, they keep listening to it. If they don't, they don't. It's all fine. It's all gravy. Also, guess who's getting back into stand-up this weekend? So, I mean, I don't really need to plug the date because I think it's actually sold out. I mean, I say sold out. It's a free show, but you have to book in advance. But a friend of mine tried to book a table yesterday, and there are no tables left to book. So happy days. But I'm going to be in Peterborough at the Chalkboard on Friday. I'm going to be there about 7:30. I don't know what time I'm on, but there's some really fantastic acts there. And if you're already booked in and coming, I will see you there. Really looking forward to seeing if I can remember how to do stand-up. It's going to be hella interesting. So yeah, on with the news. So we've got Miesha Tate apparently spent 98% of her fight purse from her comeback. Okay, so there are a lot of knee-jerk reactions to this I've seen online, most of which are kind of calling Dana White the devil because he doesn't pay his fighters, blah, 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 blah. Okay, no one ever... anyone that comments like that, I just find they don't look at the actual numbers. And the problem with articles like this is that, now I don't have all of the numbers, right? But I want to know where the 70% tax off the top comes from. Now, I don't know, she may have just worded it poorly, which I'll get into like in a little bit, but basically, we may not have all of the facts here. Like, you need to know like what she's been spending money on, and only she knows that. Do you know what I mean? We don't have access to that information, so we have to take her at her word. But the 3 things we do know are that Miesha Tate earned $200,000 plus a bonus, 50k, so it's $250,000 altogether. The fight took place in Las Vegas, Nevada. Nevada, that's important, right? The tax bracket for $250,000 in Nevada is 24%, not 70%, as the article kind of said in the headline. It's on Bloody Elbow, you can see it. The headline's quite sensational, which says, 70% tax. It's like, no, that's not accurate. That can't be accurate because the tax bracket for $250,000 in Nevada is 24%. So when I see that one of the main things that they're using for their headlines is is inaccurate to the tune of like 40-50%, it's like, well, how much else of the article is complete bollocks? Do you know what I mean? So you just start wondering that how much of this is actually factual. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't spent too much on her camp, etc. I can't attest either way to fighter pays. Again, as I've said this before and I'll say it again, but we just don't know enough. We don't have all the facts. We don't have all the figures. But if they're being so, Joey, now the thing is that the other part of it is maybe she just worded it poorly, because if you read the article, she says that after taxes, that's 70% off the top. So is she meaning that actually taxes and her trainers, it's 70% of her purse? And if that's the case, it's kind of like, well, 46% of that 70 is like to her trainers and her manager. Now, I always thought, I don't know this for a fact, but I always thought, most of the managers were on 10%. I thought most of the coaches were on 10%. I thought that was a fairer percentage than each of them being on 24%, presuming it's split down the middle, because 46% of your purse to your manager and your trainer, that seems like a lot. That seems excessive. And it kind of seems like that's a budgeting problem, not a UFC pay problem. That seems like it's a budgeting problem, because if 46% of your pay is going straight back out on just your coaches and your trainer, I mean, I know that they might be bloody good trainers, but I feel like, I mean, I don't know for sure. If you're a fighter, please let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to know, how much do you pay your management? How much do you pay your coaches? Because I feel like 46% on your manager and your coaches is too much of your pay. It's too much of your earnings. You need to try and trim that down if possible. So then she talks about, you know, the rest of it. She's buying organic food and all that. And it's just like, yeah, look, that's the boat we're all in. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are people so outraged about that? If me or you want to eat healthy, we have to buy the organic foods and things that we want to try and stay healthy, right? That's not a problem exclusive to fighters. Do you know what I mean? Most people, she earns in a night what most people earn in 2 to 3 years, right? So you'll pardon me if I'm not playing the world's smallest violin just yet. Do you know what I mean? Not to sound callous, but when they start throwing that out there, oh no, I have to buy food. It's like, yeah, so does everybody else. Oh, and then I get taxed. It's like, yeah, everyone else gets taxed as well. Do you know what I mean? But most people are not earning what you're earning. Do you know what I mean? And let's be fair, you're doing something that you have a passion for a living. That is the dream. That's the goal, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If your passion is fighting and training and you get to do that for a living and get paid for that, isn't that the goal? You're not even like, do something that you enjoy and you'll never work a day in your life. You know what I mean? You're in a very privileged position there. So when I see these people that are in that privileged position, albeit they've earned their position, I'm not saying they haven't. They have worked so hard, and it's a tough industry to get to the top of. It really is. That's why most people will never make it, because it takes an unbelievable amount of hard work. However, it is still a privileged position. And when I see people in that privileged position kind of throwing their toys out the pram and complaining, when, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are actually kind of listening to it. It's like, well, you know, how can you not put some money aside when you earn in a night what I do in 2 to 3 years? Do you see what I mean? That's where it kind of, you start thinking, okay, how do these people budget? These people might need some help. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not being funny, but if regular people can get by on much less, it's kind of like, what are you spending money on, right? Because then she talks about heart rate monitors and things like that to make sure our camp goes well, right? What fucking heart rate monitors is she buying? What, disposable ones? What, single-use heart rate monitors? That is a fucking money pit, Miesha. Stop buying single-use heart rate monitors, for fuck's sake. I've had this one for fucking years. 2 years I've had this. It works fine. Stop throwing them away. That's just a ridiculous waste. Anyway, like I said, budgeting problem, not a UFC problem. And Sean O'Malley's not happy with his pay now. Well, fucking hell, just fight out your contract, win, and then renegotiate. Again, it's another thing where I'm just like, for fuck's sake, dude. You signed the multi-fight deal. You were happy with the amount you were getting paid and the amount of fights you had on that deal when you signed that contract. Stop bitching about it now after the fact because things went well for you. If things hadn't gone well for you, you still got those fights to prove yourself. But look, at the end of the day, just fight out your contract, win, show how many eyes you bring into the sport, and then you will get the better deal, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. Again, I'm so tired of seeing people fucking moaning about it. It's like, look, at the end of the day, he does bring in eyes. Of course he brings in eyes, right? And I kind of like his point about not fighting ranked guys until he's on more money. That's actually a fair point. I kind of like that. He's putting value on himself. And I really like that about him. But you signed the contract for the amount of fights that you were happy to sign for the amount of money you were happy with at the time. So finish out that contract, renegotiate a better one. Simple. Job done. Make sure you win, though. Make sure you win. Spectacular fashion. You're fine. You're absolutely... And he's more than capable of doing that. So he's fine. Look, he's fine. Tristan Gore is out of the tough final. I'm a bit gutted by that, actually. If you've been watching the Ultimate Fighter, I got caught up at the weekend. Tristan Gore, he got into the final by getting a really nice KO in the semi. Yeah, he knocked the guy flat, and he's a really great talent, one of the best talents on there. But unfortunately, he's out of the final. I mean, he is a talent, though, as I said. He'll be given a contract, and he'll likely do very well. And I look forward to seeing him when he gets healthy, because this guy, he's got talent. He's really, really good. Middleweight, I think. He was in the middleweights. But yeah, bit gutted by that. Another fight that is off is Gustafsson versus Paul Kling. Yeah, gutted for that because it was a really good opportunity for old Paul Kling. And yeah, you know, I thought it was a tough prospect for Gus, honestly. He's lost a couple of his last fights by submission. But, you know... And the problem is with Gustafsson, he's said many times that his heart isn't in it anymore. And I find that's dangerous for a fighter. I feel like that's going to end horribly. It's going to end in heartbreak, isn't it? I don't know. It's going to end with him getting hurt. And yeah, this was a viewer topic sent in by Josh Watkins. Shout out Josh, one of my biggest supporters on Patreon. So thank you very much. Appreciate you, buddy. And yeah, so he basically said that the whole Conor situation, it makes him think of an intriguing topic. Whose legacy is the most tarnished, okay? So, Conor for his snow and whiskey-filled rants, Askren for his UFC days, Ronda and her downfall at the end of career, and Jones and his out-of-the-cage issues. If I'm totally honest, I do think it's Conor. I don't know, because the thing is, right, is Jones, he's still... like, arguably, like, unbeaten. Do you know what I mean? His record still speaks for itself. Ronda Rousey still defended her belt, what, like 6 times? I don't know. I don't know how many defenses she had, but multiple title defenses. Like, was a pioneer of women's sport, of women's MMA. And women's MMA would not be where it is without Ronda Rousey. And that's a fact, and you can never take that away from her. Ben Askren... you know, the things that he did in ONE FC, and you know, at the end of the day, like we all knew what he was. He was a wrestler, and yeah, he got sparked out, and then, you know, beaten by Damian Maia. And you know what? At the end of the day, he wasn't in his prime when he came to the UFC. So I don't think he loses a lot there either. But wow, Conor McGregor has 1 win since 2016. And that win was against a man who is 0-5 since 2016 or something stupid like that. And the fact that he's losing every single fight and he's sending out these ridiculous tweets and making himself look like a fucking arsehole. Actually, there are a lot of people that used to be fans of Conor that are like, I cannot watch this anymore. I cannot look at what he's doing, and he's just fucking so horrible. But yeah, so in answer to your question, I think it is 100% Conor. And you know what? I'm enjoying watching it because I don't. It's fucking entertaining, at least. Holy shit! But yeah. So troll of the week. So this one we have got. Basically, it's the Francis Ngannou dropping the hammer fist on Stipe, but. Basically, yeah, it's me. It's me. Francis Ngannou is my alarm clock, and Stipe is me sleeping peacefully. And it's just like, yeah, it's about to be a rude awakening. Yeah, no, solid, very solid. It's been a bit slim pickings this week, to be fair. Conor versus Random Old Man. Someone's done a hilarious. This is quite good actually. Tale of the tape for Conor McGregor versus Random Old Drunk Man. And it's just like, yeah, it's fucking because. Obviously, Conor likes to go in to bars and slap up old men. Fair enough. But yeah, and then the last one is my personal favourite because it's a classic Chael Sonnen one. It's not a new one, but it is hilarious. But when he was kind of going back and forth with Wanderlei Silva, Chael Sonnen once like sat there and tweeted out, it's like, Wanderlei Silva is the only fighter with a cauliflower face. And that's coming from the American gangster, Chael P. Sonnen. The P stands for icon. Yeah, fucking love Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen is fucking hilarious. And yeah, that is all we've got time for this week. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. If you enjoy, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. The picks are going to be early for my Patreon, even earlier than normal for my Patreon this week. So I'm going to be doing them on the Thursday because obviously I've got stand-up on the Friday. So it'll be as normal on the Saturday for my YouTube channel. All the picks will go live. But Patreon, real treat for you. You're getting the picks another day early. So yeah, enjoy those. Until then, because it's a real big fight week this week, just FYI, it's Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikadze. That is a fight! Hell yeah! Anyway, keep those odds long and those bets terrible. I'll see you next time.